absolutely. I wanted to ask you firstly, how would you describe your sound?
Well, I consider myself a country artist. I really think
Mhm.
that country music is about the storytelling within the songs and kind of the structure of how the songs are written. I think that's what country artists have done the best since the beginning of time is tell stories. From a production standpoint, I think it's like kind of indie pop country is kind of the era that I've been in recently.
Mhm.
I love I love acoustic guitars, but I also love like synths and a
Mhm.
mix of like, I love currently on this project that I put out, I love how there's like you could find steel guitar and like a synthesizer on the same song. So I really feel like I kind of blended genres from a production standpoint, but I feel like the songs are rooted in country music because of the stories that they tell.
Mm. And then, who are some of your musical influences?
Oh man, I have so many. I feel like I always blank when people ask me that. I grew up like really loving traditional country, but then my mom really loved like 80s music,
Mhm.
like Sticks and stuff, but I grew up on like Bob Wills and Hank Williams and stuff for my dad. I kind of like found myself somewhere in the middle. My current artist that I really love, my all-time favorite artist
Mhm.
is like Miley Cyrus. Hannah Montana was my first concert.
Mm.
Um, I love um, I love Chris Stapleton. I
Mhm.
love Casey Musgraves. I love
Oh,
Maren
okay.
Morris. Um, I love a lot of older artists, Tammy Wynette, Loretta Lynn.
Mhm.
Um, Newer artists that I love are like Julia Michaels in the 1975. So, like, my taste is kind of broad.
Yes, you've got a lot going on.
Yes.
So, speaking about the, country piece and the, uh, some of the relating to some of the artists you've mentioned already, what role would you say the Nashville influence has on your storytelling and your approach to music?
Well, I moved to Nashville when I was 16 and got my
Mhm.
first publishing deal here.
Mhm.
I've never even been to LA or anything on like a writing trip or anything like that. I've written with people
Mhm.
from LA on like Zoom and stuff, but I feel like Nashville has the best songwriters in the world, in my opinion. And it's a really like, small town when you really get into like the community of it.
Sure.
And I think we're all really like protective of the craft of writing
Mhm.
songs, specifically like country songs.
Mhm.
Um, so in a lot of ways, and I don't write by myself. I would like
Mhm.
to. It's
Mhm.
kind of challenging for me. I started co-writing with people when I was 12,
Oh.
which was the first time I came to Nashville. So
Mhm.
I kind of like the the Nashville way of like co-writing and writing songs is like what taught me how to write songs because I never really like
Mhm.
wrote by myself before that.
Mhm.
And I have never like had experience going to another like music city like New York or LA and writing
Mhm.
there and seeing what it's like to write there. So I just think like
Mhm.
purely because I've spent my whole career in Nashville, it's just like intertwined into how I see
Mhm.
the writing process and how I write songs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. It's what you know. That makes sense at all.
Yeah, it's just
So,
what I know.
exactly. Speaking of collaborations, I know that you've been working with Casey Coakley and Matt Martin. So, what's that been like as far as the writing
Yeah.
process and developing your?
So her name's actually Cece Coakley.
Oh, okay.
And that's okay. And Matt Martin, I was introduced to them by my A&R Jeanette at Downtown, and which is who my distribution deal is through. And um, I loved getting to meet and write with Cece. I met them right after like my big breakup and hadn't really worked with new people in a long time. And like I sat down with them like 2 days after my breakup and just kind of like spilled the beans. And they're kind of like I feel like sort of in the indie scene here in
Mhm.
Nashville, not really in the down the middle country scene. And it was like really
Mhm.
refreshing to start working with them and kind of get outside of like the typical, kind of country radio sort of scene here.
Mhm.
I also just love them as humans. Matt's an amazing producer, and yeah, they really like kind of helped me define my album with the songs that we wrote together. We wrote Video Games and I Kissed My Friend Last Night from my album.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of video games, right? So the production style on this album seems to have evolved. How does video games reflect the emotional content?
Well, Video Games was the first song I wrote after my breakup, which it's
Hmm.
no secret that this album is a breakup album.
Yeah.
I think we wrote that song 2 days after my breakup, and it was really like, I literally like, that song is like all questions. It's literally the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing is questions. Um, which is really like all I had at that time in the
Hmm.
breakup process. Like I literally said to them, like, I just want to know what he's doing. Like, I just want to
Hmm.
know if he's at home smoking weed, playing video games. Like, I just, does he even care? Does he like
Hmm.
it like that the lyric in that song is literally like my thought process that they just kind of helped me streamline into a song.
Hmm.
From a production standpoint, like again, like Matt was the first producer I had worked with after 5 years of like working with the same person basically.
Hmm.
And I was really scared that I had lost a lot of confidence in
Hmm.
my ability to make music with other people and feel like it was good. And he really helped me. Like we just it wasn't even like a discussion of like, oh, this is the sonic vibe. He just like got it,
Hmm.
and like it's so funny, like when you're an artist who like works with multiple producers, you can kind of like walk into their studio and look at their gear and kind
Hmm.
of know like their vibe sort of. And like he had like two synths and like a slide guitar, and I was like, oh, we're gonna be fine, like I don't know. They just it was just a very natural continue. I think that Matt's style of production really fit what I was already doing.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
since, we're on the topic of like breakups and sort of like what the album is about, like what is the significance of the title Greener and how does that relate to the themes?
Greener is the last song I wrote for the album. I didn't really like know it was the last. I didn't go into it being like I'm gonna write the last song for the album, but I wrote that and it like
Hmm.
because I went through a break. I've been trying to make an album for like 2 years, 3 years, and
Hmm.
it just like wasn't the right time. It wasn't happening.
Hmm.
Uh, and when after my breakup, the album obviously like changed shape a lot. A lot of the songs that I thought I was going to cut, I didn't want to anymore because who
Hmm.
wants to sing a bunch of love songs that they wrote about their ex? So I just started
Hmm.
doing what I do, which is I write through my experiences and I wrote
Hmm.
through my breakup and was like, okay, I guess I'm going to make a breakup album. I'm going to continue writing through this until I'm sort of at a point where it feels like I kind of have an album rounded
Hmm.
out. And then I wrote Greener, which was the last one. And it felt like such like it helped me kind of put a theme to this whole thing because I
Hmm.
didn't, before Greener, I was like, I don't know what to call this album. Like it didn't feel like I had a song that was like,
Hmm.
although you don't necessarily need one of you can call an album anything. I could have called it my name. There could be a random lyric, but I
Hmm.
I couldn't find a title for for the album that made sense yet. And then I wrote Greener,
Hmm.
and like it just was like, oh, it was like this makes sense to me. Like if this were the last song on the album, it kind of like
Hmm.
if I started it, if you were a song, and I fill in the gap, and then I end it
Hmm.
Greener, it sort of tells the story of like walking you through the
Hmm.
emotions of a breakup, sort of.
Hmm.
And it was like,
Bookends.
yeah, it bookends it pretty beautifully. And then I thought about just like, from a branding standpoint, which like a lot of it was coincidental. I like didn't even think about the fact that April 11th was like dead ass in the middle of spring and that everything would be like it's all felt very like planned, but none of it was really planned. Like we just
Sure.
picked a date and that made sense and we were going to release these singles and whatever, but like energetically it all
Hmm.
felt very like in alignment too with like I don't know, just the energy.
Synchronicity.
Yeah, like there was a lot of synchronicities with it. So
Hmm.
Greener really just kind of gave me the whole like solidified the whole concept for the whole thing. So I love that song. It gave me a lot. And as far as emotionally, it felt like a good place to stop the story
Mhm.
where I could like take a breath and end it there.
Gotcha. And
Yeah.
so, going deeper on the themes, like, what do you think are some elements of the album, or in particular songs, that you think will resonate more, resonate most with, audience members who are dealing with their own like post-breakup challenges?
Um, the first song that comes to mind is Cry That It Happened. I
Mm,
think like I've really like I've really learned that as a human we can really experience multiple feelings at the same time. You can
mm,
experience falling in love and also grieving someone at the same time, which is just
mhm,
like really makes you feel like alive as a human. You're like, damn, I'm really out here feeling it all. And I think that theme runs through Cry That It Happened too, because it's like, damn, I'm so happy that it's over because I was so miserable, but like it still hurts so bad.
mm,
So I hope that like if I didn't write that song and I heard that, like I would feel so seen in the confusing experience of like not wanting to be in something anymore, like knowing you made the I saw this quote the other day that was like, just because you made the right decision doesn't mean it won't feel kind of bad. Like, so I think that I hope that it gives people permission to like be fully human and still like
mm,
miss someone but know that they weren't right for them. Like know you made the right choice but know that like a bunch of shit comes with that too, you know?
mm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, like, where does the single video games fit into the sort of like broader, I guess, arc of the album?
Well, that was the first one I wrote after, so I feel like that was kind of I'm thinking what are the words? I feel like that really like starts the story of the breakup, you know? It's like it's kind of like happening in that
Hmm.
song. You know, the second verse is like I came back home to your note in the kitchen. Like that was when I like went back and like packed my stuff because I didn't,
Hmm.
you know, we had decided to like split, but I didn't know if it was going to be for good. I didn't know how long I was going to be like living out of my suitcase at my friend's house. Like it's really
Hmm.
like the like very close very what's the word I'm looking for? Very the kind of like immediate aftermath.
Mm. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's the immediate aftermath song.
Hmm. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I noticed, speaking of some other songs, we have like, I Hate Springsteen, which seems to be kind of like a contradictory title given the
Mhm.
content.
Yeah.
Like, how does something like that contrast with, say, video games or some of the other, tracks on there?
Yeah, well, I Hate Springsteen is the only one that wasn't like I wrote that before my breakup. It was kind of like I don't
Mm,
typically write songs that like I mean, of course I've experienced those emotions, but I didn't
mhm.
write it about my ex.
Sure.
But I put it in the sequencing because it felt like an appropriate kind of place to put it.
Hmm.
Um, and it's really just like, you know, thematically, I feel like it's the delusional song. It's when I feel like it's like, you know, after a breakup, everyone's like, I'm, yeah, I don't, it's just trying to like, I just liked the one, I just thought the title was cool. I Hate Springsteen is really not that deep. Um, you know, it's like, it's kind of just a bop. From a
Hmm.
production standpoint, I really love it. I got John Osborne from Brothers Osborne played that guitar solo on the end of it, which was really
Nice.
incredible. Um, so yeah, I Hate Springsteen's not it's not that deep.
Fair, fair.
Yeah.
What do you hope listeners get from exploring Greener in terms of like an emotional hook or a core message, if anything?
Mm, I mean, you know, I wrote all these songs to get me through my breakup. So it's like maybe it could help someone else get through theirs. That's really like what it did for me is what I hope it does for everyone else. It's an
Mm.
album that's just like sad and real and vulnerable, and it's where I was at in my life at the time. And yeah, that's really all I can hope from it is that it would do the same thing for me or the same thing for a listener that it did for me, which has helped me heal.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So you have toured with some incredible artists
Hmm.
like Mickey Guyton. I think I got that right. Mickey Guyton. Okay. Morgan Wade, amongst others. Do you have anything special planned for like this year and some upcoming performances? Like what can we look forward to with Abbey Cone in
So
2020?
I'm actually starting my tour with I'm opening for Fancy Haygood starting
Hmm.
tomorrow through like
Hmm.
mid-May on his
Nice.
first headlining tour. It's called the American Spirit Tour.
Hmm.
And that'll be so fun. Um, and I honestly I don't I'm playing CMA Fest.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm playing a really cool festival that hasn't been announced yet.
Oh, secret.
And it's a secret. And I don't have another tour on my calendar right now. Touring is
Hmm.
kind of like interesting for a baby artist because it's like, like I just found out about the fancy tour like a month ago. It's
Hmm.
like it all kind of happens sort of fast. So by the time this interview comes out, something could fall in my lap. Right now, I um don't have anything else.
Hmm.
I'm considering attempting to do a couple headlining shows. I've kind of been on enough tours over the last 2 years and visited like the because that's how touring works is like the hope is that you go to the same place enough times where you gain fans in those places. And
Hmm.
I've been to Chicago a lot. I've been to like New York, Texas. So we're kind of just taking a look because selling tickets is like hard. It's one of the hardest parts about this job to
Hmm.
get people to spend their time and money to come see you. So
Hmm.
my team and I are going to sit down and like see if that would be something that's possible to do. So maybe I could be doing a couple headlining shows in 2025.
Hmm.
Who knows?
Fingers
Um,
crossed. We'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed. So that's all.
Mm.
We're working
Nice.
on other music.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yep.
Do you have any like message for your fans or the broader audience, the country audience, the national audience who are looking forward to seeing more from you coming forward?
Yeah. Well, I feel like my favorite part about touring is so hard, but like when you get to meet people that actually listen to your music, it like is
Mhm.
very like it reminds me that there are actually real people out there that are listening. It can feel a lot of the time, especially as a baby artist, like we're just like screaming into the void. So I guess I just want to say thank you to the people who are like, listening because they saw me at a show or,
Mm.
and genuinely became like a fan. Like just thank you. And then um yeah, I would just like ask people to like stick around. I'm really like figuring out my next kind of move and I'm just out here trying to be myself and like navigate the music industry and hopefully like reach people, like find my audience. So I'd say if you already are my audience, just stick with me because I need you.
Nice. I love that. That's a great message.